Hey, I'm coming into the Ocean Way room, and hey, there's Alan Sides from Ocean Way. Alan, how are you?
How are you?
You had a great show in Munich this year.
Munich was a fun show. You know,
Gosh.
we had a nice space, and I was very happy with the way it came out.
You had great sound. Your
thank you
team
so
with
much.
Viola, your team was a really, really great room. We played a Vanessa Fernandez track, and the viewers, you're going to hear this when you go over to the Munich show videos. Click on that. They did win an award for that track, and the reason why is the speakers are so darn good.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Tell us about the speakers you have here in Newport this year.
Well, this is a little bit bigger system than what we had in Munich, and we use this one. You know, it's tall, it's fairly narrow, but it actually goes very low like the other ones. It still goes down to 20 hertz, no problem, but it has incredibly wide dynamic range. And the other thing that's very important to me is having very wide dispersion, because a lot of the speakers that I hear, you know, you've got. And you don't realize this, but a lot of domes, if you get off axis 30 degrees, you have a totally different sound than you do at zero.
That's right.
We can go 35 to 40 degrees off and lay it in the zero plot. It's almost exactly the same. And part of that is the waveguide allows us, gives much more, you know, even directivity. And it also gives us significantly more efficiency. And so we have ferrofluid in the gap, and it is a aluminum dome with a mono surround, but it actually is very silky sounding. It has very wide dispersion, but we can get amazing dynamic range. So I can play things that are quite shockingly dynamic, and it's just clean as a whistle.
So the dynamic range man off the charts.
Its capacity is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, even I think at the Munich show, I think people were quite shocked that we could play stuff, and we're hitting transients at some of the classics. There were 115 dB, and at the peaks, and it's clean. It's no distortion. It's not harsh, because that's the thing. In a lot of smaller speakers, if you are monitoring something and you're, say, at 85 or 90 dB and you've got some big stuff coming up at 1 or 105, you could be in the 10 to 12% distortion range by the time you hit 100 dB. Because the poor little mid-range tweeters just giving it up. And these have that. That's very important.
I know. I mean, it's like it's a rocket launcher. Almost instantaneous. You go right up there. It's super.
You know, high transient response. The other thing is, our system, it's physically time aligned. All the components are in exact, the voice calls are in alignment. So there's no digital. It's all a totally analog device. There's no digitaling required, and it has a very sophisticated passive crossover. So it doesn't require tri-amplifying or bi-amplifying. But the other thing about our speaker, I think, is that you could get that close to it, and it sounds like one sound. You don't hear the components operating separately. It sounds like one complete, sound.
Well, it sure was just like being in a concert. I mean, the dynamic range was like unbelievably off the charts, and we expect to have a similar sound next here.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. And here we have in this room, the physical limit you have in a room like this is that, these speakers do go very low. If I push them closer to the sides, it's wider, and I love the width, but I pick up a little too much low end in the room. So I have to put them closer together than I'd like to in an ideal situation. If I had another 3 feet. Actually, when we do the show in Vegas, those rooms at the Venetian are pretty good. I can make those rooms cook. And there's just, it gets some pretty amazing sounds. But sometimes it's fun to go in, because of course people's homes aren't perfect.
That's right.
So we figure out ways to make it work. And so on our very big installations, I will usually fly out and we'll balance everything out. Because the fun factor is only fun when it sounds like that in your room.
That's it.
Yeah. So.
Well, the rest of the system here is Viola amplifiers, and if we have a member of the team from Viola, in fact, we have Paul from Viola. Hey,
hi, how
you got great sound in Munich. Part of the reason why Alan and you are Gold Show winners. Tell us about the amplifiers we have just before we do our listening session.
Okay, what we're running for amplification is the Concerto amplifier. It's a stereo amplifier, 100 watts into 8 ohms, 200 into 4 ohms. We have them bridged here for this show, and we had them bridged in Munich. It's a Class AB amplifier, choke input power supply, very high damping factor, so it controls, you get a very fast, a good control of the loudspeaker, the dynamics, and the preamplifier is their Crescendo. It's an analog preamplifier, discrete Class A op amps. It's our own design.
Okay.
We're running the transport through SPDIF into the DAC inside the Crescendo, and then we have a music server SOTM from South Korea that we're using to stream music into the USB.
Yeah, that's down below there.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, can we play some music?
Yes.
Very good. Paul from Viola. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just,
Yeah.
so that's
Sounds good. Yeah. Sounds real good.
hold on. Yeah, these are some tracks that I recorded for Faith Hill, as I said, our studio in Nashville.
Okay.
Now, I'll play one more thing if I can, really.
One more, please.
Yeah. I'll play something I recorded in my garage in 1972.
How cool is that?
You might, just as a fun factor, see if that's something.
Okay, viewers, again, it's Alan Sides, a world famous recording engineer, just for you.
And
I would have been 17 when you did that. And
Right.
Yeah.
And that was,
Did I do the math right? No.
Yeah, well, I'm 63, so I've been doing, this was, I had this studio I opened it in 72. I actually had a studio in high school in 1968.
How about that?
So that was my very first studio. So I've been doing this for a very long time.
You sure happened. And then was that in Southern California here?
Yeah, that was in Southern California. Yeah,
How
my
about
first
that?
studio was at Pacific Ocean Park. It's an amusement park that's no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the basement of Pacific Ocean Park. And then we moved to the garage, and I really started the studio, as not to make records, but to make material to play on my speakers.
How do you like that?
It's hard to find impressive sounding material.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew what I wanted. I'm a musician, I'm a bass player, I'm a guitar player, and I know what it needs to sound like. And so I started making recordings specifically for that purpose, and then people became very interested in recordings, and so that was 1,000 albums ago.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the career.
But speakers have always been my love.
Well,
I am, for me, the joy, like when we do a recording in the studio, and I have 8 or 10 players, or for the big band, whatever it is, when they walk in for the playback, I want it to be shocking. I want it to sound like it did when you're standing there, and I want the musicians to walk in and just go, wow. I want the wow. I live for that, And so accurate reproduction that's not harsh and that's fun to listen to, and then obviously then as an engineer, my judgments of how I set things up and how I balance things and mic things are going to be accurate because I'm hearing correctly.
mm-hmm.
And so that's very important to me.
Well, you sure wowed us in Munich, and you just wowed me right now.
Well, thank you very much. I
Alan
sure appreciate
Slice.
you coming and doing this.
Great. Alan Slice, Motion Way.
All right.
All I can say is one word. Wow.
Oh, thank you.